What's good? It's a boy dude reviews, and out of all the years that I've watched anime, this year has probably been the one year that I've watched a lot of anime. I've watched a lot of good and I've watched a lot of bad anime, and I decided, why not rank all the animes that I think are my favorite? I've decided I wanted to rank all the animes I've ever watched, but that video will be extremely long, and I don't see the point in talking about some animes that I've seen because I've seen some really terrible shows. So I just want to talk about the ones that I have seen and that I have enjoyed. And yeah, let's get started with ranking all the animes that I've ever watched. My top 10 favorites. And let's get on with number 10. And that is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Now, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood I watched in like 2015, I think it was. And yeah, what's the show about? Well, brothers Edward and Alfonso Eric search for the Philosopher's Stone, hoping to restore their bodies which were lost when they attempted to use their alchemy skills to resurrect their deceased mother. Edward, who lost only limbs, joins the state military, which gives him the freedom to join the search as he tries to restore his brother, whose soul is tethered to Earth by a suit of armor. However, Edward and Alfonso are not the only ones seeking the powerful stone, and as they search, they learn of a plot to transmute the entire country for reasons they cannot comprehend. I won't spoil too much about what happens in this show because a lot of crazy stuff happens. So I'm going to give you my brief reasons as to why I like it. I just love the story, I can say it's a shonen, but it feels like a shonen that feels right, It has a good start, middle, and end, You just love these two brothers, and you root for them. You want them to get their bodies back, and you're so determined for them to get their bodies. I really like their Japanese voice acting. It's one of the best Japanese voice acting animes out there. For me, I really enjoyed it, and I just think like some of the animation gets really crazy, especially with the seven deadly sins in it, when they're fighting them. It's really, really intense and just phenomenal. Like some of the animation just looks flipping amazing, You're just like, whoa, this looks really great. All the characters are also unique and interesting and just very awesome. All the people that the two brothers come in contact with are just so cool and great, And you got some characters who change and who become better or who become worse than they are, There's a lot of hidden conspiracies. They're just people who they've known in the past being involved in things that they can never have expected. It's just so great. And this show has one of my favorite openings and endings, the openings and endings are so great, And it's just a phenomenal show, It's a really short series, It's only got 65 episodes. I think it's that long. But it's one I recommend. It's on Netflix and give it a shot. It's really great, It's very great. Number 9, Death Note. And I watched this show the same year I watched the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And I remember the first time I watched it, it was pretty good, But I guess giving it a rewatch is even better. This is probably one of the few animes that I feel like the English subbed, the Japanese version and the English dubbing are just as good as each other. Doesn't matter which version you watch, they're both really great, And it's a really, really interesting show because it's kind of, the way it's paced, it feels like a mystery, but it's not, because you know what's happening, you know what the characters are up to and all that. But what's it all about? Well, this bored teenage smart dude called Light Yagami finds a mysterious book where he finds out that if you write someone's name in, they die. And with the assistance of this Shinigami called Ryuk, he decides to completely change the world by ridding all the criminals out. However, when this very smart dude called L starts to try and investigate who the identity of Kira is, Light has to try and cover his tracks and do things that will shock you. Now, the thing I like about this show is that it kind of shows you how someone normal and just good can literally be Light has this complex where he feels like This dude is really, really interesting, but at the same time, he's very problematic. He becomes obsessed. He's like Walter White in a way, and it's just interesting seeing his descent into kind of not madness, but just obsession. And he starts to lose connections with other humans because of this death note, and it's just really interesting seeing how far gone he's going, and it's just really interesting. This show has very interesting like pacing and editing. The way it edits certain things out is really cool, and it's got a really rocking soundtrack. It's very operatic and it's really great. I still prefer the first half of the series. The second half does kind of go off the rails for me, but it is one I recommend if you want to get into anime. It's because you like these characters and their dialogue and the writing is just so good. It's just a really great show. It's not one with too many twists and turns. It's just one that you just kind of watch for the characters and seeing how they change in a way. So that's my take. Number 8, Code Geass. Never, ever, ever, ever judge an anime by its first episode. And when I first watched this show, I judged this show harshly on its first episode. But let's talk about what this show is all about. The Holy Empire of Britannia conquered the country known as Japan and now call it Area 51. Its residents lost their rights to self-govern and are now called 11s. The Empire uses powerfully destructive robotic weapons called nightmares to ensure control, but someone is about to stand up against it. Lelouch, the Black Prince, has endless ambitions and uses the power of the Geass, a found power he found by accident, to build a world based on his ideals. And Suzaku, the White Knight, aspires to justice and strives to live an honest life and a fair life. And what I liked about this show is this show is that you really do, it's a very character focused TV show. It's more character focused than plot focused. It's seeing how these characters are reacted to this world, how the way certain people were raised up and brought up. Like, you got people who were 11s or Japanese, and then you've got like the Britannian people, and how they've been some of them have been brainwashed into thinking this and that. And it's really interesting, like, I like how Lelouch, who is born from Britannia, who hates the Britannian Empire because of what happened in the past, and he has more of a reason to take down the Britannian Empire, and with the power of the Geass he's able to do that. But what I've noticed is that he kind of becomes a bit obsessed with the power of the Geass. He kind of reminds me of Walter White, with Walter White becoming obsessed with what he was doing and all that stuff, to be honest with you. Even like Lelouch, who is kind of turning into like a villain in a way, like from the offset, like what he's doing is kind of bad, but he's doing it all, to make sure that people don't suffer anymore, and to make sure that his little sister Nalia grows up in a wonderful world. But he's doing all this terrible stuff to the point where it's like he's an anti-hero in a way. He's a hero, but he's doing bad things about it, and it's interesting, And the thing with the show is that being a character development, there's not many twists and turns. Like, okay, there are, but it happens in what the show does smartly is that it puts the plot twists and unexpected reveals in very character focused moments. When something extreme is about to happen to a character, then something unexpected happens, you see a twist, and it works, And I really did like it. Like the whole show was just a roller coaster ride, And there's a lot of like downtime with Lelouch in the school, and all his classmates, and I quite like all that stuff, And it's just such a really great ride for a show, Don't want to reveal too much. I just recommend you watch it on Netflix now. At number 7, it's The 7 Deadly Sins. It's a bit ironic how my 7th favorite anime of all time is at number 7, and it's called The 7 Deadly Sins. It's a bit ironic that, to be honest with you. Why The 7 Deadly Sins? I mean, not many people talk about this show, and I don't really see too much on this show, like online, which is a bit of a drag, like it's a really, really good show, But what is it all about? Well, the show basically follows the adventures of a princess, in the kingdom of Leonis as she sets out to find the 7 deadly sins to save her empire from their repression. And that's what I talk about this show, because there's a lot of interesting stuff happening. But what is it that I like about the show? Well, the animation art style of the show is really interesting. The character designs are all very unique and different from one another, which I do like, but it's the characters themselves that I like the most of all. Every one of the sins are very different from one another. They all have the different ideals and the different reasons of living and all that lot, which I really did like. The characters are just also interesting. They're really, really great, and the show flows so smoothly. It's one of the most well-paced TV shows I've ever seen, mainly season 1, I would say. Each episode is just as gripping as the last. We get to see, find out new stuff about the sins, new stuff about the kingdom of Leones and what's happening and all that lot. And the interesting thing about this is that it's not like these guys are the bad guys, what the kingdom is doing, of Leonis, what the knights are doing. It's not, everything that's happening isn't what you think it is, and the actual truth is a lot more surprising and interesting, and it makes more sense than what you would think from a typical shonen. And yeah, I really do like all these 7 deadly sin characters, and from Barn to Meliodas to King to Merlin to everyone, they're also to Diane, they're all really interesting. And the interesting thing I like about it is that not all of them trust one another. There are some people who have certain doubts. As the show progresses, we do learn things about some of the 7 deadly sins, some characters which may shock you, which I will warn you, it will be unexpected. And it kind of puts a dent in their relationship, to the point where it's if I was in their position, I would definitely feel a bit can I trust this person? What is this person really after? Why are they here? What have they been planning all this time? And it's really, really gripping, There's a lot of good stuff and really great stuff, Even characters who you think are going to be useless throughout end up actually serving more of a purpose than you would ever have imagined, And that's what I like about it. Plus, the theme songs and the opening credits are so damn amazing. They are just so damn catchy. My favorite has to definitely be 7 by Flo Grand Rodeo. It's definitely one of the best ending songs I've ever heard. It's so damn catchy. It's a phenomenal masterpiece. And the animation motion may not be great at times, but you are so into the plot to the point where you don't really care. It's just a great watch. You're so into the show, you want to see more, and it's very addictive. It's a very binge-worthy TV show. I watched season 1 in a day. That's how much I really enjoyed it. So if that's not telling you something, I don't know what isn't. Number 6, Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. Basically the whole Naruto series anime. And yeah, the show is basically about orphan boy Naruto Uzumaki, who is hated, disliked, and feared throughout his whole village for having this 9-tailed demon fox that once destroyed their whole village years ago, but the 4th Hokage sealed him into him. And Naruto sets out to become the greatest ninja of all time. He aims to get strong and become the Hokage, and stuff happens. Obviously, I don't know anyone who's not seen this show who's into anime. It's a real ride, And what I like about the show is that Naruto is probably one of the most likable main characters, because you've all been there, you've all kind of been the loser kid in a way. You've all been you've been the guy who's not been acknowledged and not accepted before, or gal, and you've seen this kid who's just he wants everyone to change their minds about him. He just wants to get stronger, and you see that happening, and it's really remarkable how this one kid is able to have such an impact on people. How his being himself and him working hard and him pursuing his dreams, it's not only changing himself, but he's changing others around him, which I really did like. All the side characters are also great, from Kakashi Sensei to Sasuke to Shikamaru to Granny Tsunade to heck, Sakura at times, you know. Like, they're all really great characters and they all have interesting stories to tell. And this is old shonen, you know, like when you watch new Shonen Jump anime series like Black Clover and My Hero Academia, particularly Black Clover, like I noticed that someone like it's a lot faster now. Like the pacing is quicker. They do less filler now. But back then they used to really like this show had such a slow build up. It was really slow moving. The first 11 episodes I couldn't stand watching this show. It was so slow to the point where I was really bored with it. But then as we get into the Zabuza arc, it starts to get interesting, starts to become really great. You start to like these characters more. And the show is just so great because it has this like feeling that you want to know what's going to happen next, but you don't know what's going to happen next. It was definitely one of the first major anime series I've watched. Like, obviously, Attack on Titan was the first anime I watched, but it was the first shonen I watched, and it was such a nice, like, way to kind of start my anime journey in a way. And I really, really enjoyed it, you know. There were a lot of boring episodes, particularly the fillers, I will put my hand up and admit. Like, oh my gosh, did it drag on forever, you know? But when we got to the canon episodes, it got good, you know? It got really good. I feel like the best, the best kind of like era of Naruto, like the greatest, was from the time Shippuden started up to the Pain arc. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, if you haven't seen this show, that arc, that kind of like era of Naruto was probably the best in terms of like that was the best written shonen anime I've seen. Like that kind of like era of Naruto. So from the time Shippuden started to the Pain arc, that was really good writing and just a good storytelling, because stuff happens and the way it's written, it's the beauty in Kishimoto's writing was just phenomenal, you know, absolutely great, you know. The animation is pretty stellar at times, as I said, particularly in that era, and it's just a really great show, you know. Obviously, people have said that the show's gone downhill after Pain arc, and I don't really think so. I think it was consistent, but at the same time, I do kind of agree and see where the show could have, you know, become better. I've made a whole video on why Naruto fails at times, and it does kind of, it doesn't go downhill. It's still flipping amazing, but they make some choices, like creative choices, that it kind of, it's not as it's satisfying, but I wish it changed some of it. But it's still a phenomenal series, you know, right to the end, you know. Like, it's an amazing show, you know. I recommend the anime, give the whole show a watch, but skip the fillers. I'm begging you, skip the fillers unless you want to watch all those fillers, but they are pointless. Go on the filler list and see which fillers to skip. But yeah, this was a great series. Now, let's go to number 5, and we're coming to our top 5. Here we go. At number 5, it is Steins Gate. Steins Gate was a very surprising series for me because I didn't think it was going to be anything more than what I thought it was going to be. Boring science slug. Like, I thought Steins Gate was your typical, like, sciencey anime which talks about science mumbo jumbos, and it's just boring, but it really isn't. And the show is about a group of friends creating a machine capable of sending messages across time and causes ripples throughout the past and present. And yeah, like the first 2 episodes of this show is kind of the worst part of the series because yeah, I was pretty damn bored watching it, you know. Like it was boring for me. Like I found it really boring in a way, but from episode 3 onwards it got so much better, like, which was surprising. And the series isn't really, the thing is that it's not the characters don't revolve around the plot revolves around the characters, and it's the characters that really make the series so great, you know. Just their interactions and the dialogue and the writing were just also great. There were episodes where all you would see is just them in their lab talking, but it would be some of the greatest dialogues I've ever heard in any anime, and it was just such a ball to watch, to be honest with you. Like Okabe, this science guy who's just kind of crazy but kind of lovable at the same time. You've got his childhood friend, and like all the other characters of the show are just also great and lovable, you know. They're all really interesting, and each and every one of these characters has a role to play. All the characters that you meet in the show, all the main characters, you may think, oh, some of them are just there just to be there. But then as the series progresses, you start to realize that some of these guys may have more, you know, they might have more of a purpose than you would ever have imagined. And yeah, they're all really great, you know. Obviously season 2 is out already, but it's a bit confusing because you have to, like, season 2 is set in an alternate, it's a strange season, but I haven't seen it. I'll check it out, but not right now. There's so much more to watch. But Steins Gate is just a great series. The thing I like about it is just this atmosphere. It has this. I like time traveling stuff, but it's not a typical time traveling. It takes time traveling in a different kind of direction. The vibe is so much different, and it's just so much more interesting. You know, it's very, very groovy and a bit haunting at times. You know, which is what you like in a time traveling show. You know. And number 4, it's My Hero Academia. Yeah, My Hero Academia, it has been a big surprise for me, you know. Like, I watched this the first time and I thought it was meh, but rewatching it and going back on it, I really did like it. And it's probably the first anime I've watched where I can't watch it in dub, because the Japanese voice acting just works so well, and it just, to watch the show in dub after watching it in Japanese, it's a crime in a way. I can't do it, because these voice actors in Japanese do such a good job, and the voices match the characters so damn well, to the point when I hear it in English, it doesn't work for me. Now with Naruto, I feel like the dubbing does work, and at first I didn't like it, but hearing it again and again, I've gotten used to it. But My Hero, I can't get into the dubbing, because some of the character voices just don't work for me, to the point where hearing it in Japanese, it suits the characters, particularly Izuku and Bakugo. And the show is basically about this boy called Izuku, who's quirkless. He's got no quirks. In this world full of quirks, everyone is aiming to be a superhero, and he wants to be like his favorite superhero, All Might. However, when he comes into contact with All Might and he learns certain things about him, and he kind of proves himself being worthy as a hero, All Might decides to give his power to him, and he is now a hero, attending a school with All Might as his personal trainer and mentor. Izuku sets out to be the greatest hero of our time, with interesting stuff happening on the process. Now, what I like about the show is that it's got a great plot, you know. Like, I like the whole concept of this world being superheroes and all that lot. Like, no one knows where this power came from, but everyone wants to be a hero. Everyone wants to be the person to save the day, and they have this whole organization of heroes. You've got rules. The thing I like about this show is that you have certain rules and regulations. You break a rule, you have to suffer the consequences. And the thing I like about it is not like other animes where the main character, who's a kid or a teenager or whatnot, who, even though they're young and they should listen to the rules, they go out and they be the hero, and they never really get scolded for it all the time. Well, in this show, when our heroes go out and try and be the heroes, yeah, they do their hero stuff, but they face consequences. They break the rules, they have to pay for it, and they have to, and it's just such a good way of like setting a show up like that. All the characters in UA are so likable and great. My favorite particularly being Izuku, Ochako, Ida, the frog girl Tsu. Everyone is just so great. Bakugo is a bit annoying and I don't like him, but even he who seems very angry and like very he seems bad, but he wants to be a hero as well, you know, and I quite like it, you know. I like the whole pacing. All Might is a great character, you know. I flipping love both versions, like him being his muscle form and his skinny form. Like I both love that, and it's really great, you know. And the thing I like about the show is that even though Izuku Midoriya is the main character of the show, like, and you think, oh, in Naruto was always the main guy and he was always the one doing this and that. Yeah, he's doing all this and that, but the thing I like about it is that the thing I like about it is that all the other characters have their time to shine, you know, in very equal amount of ways, you know. Like, I really do like how every one of these characters has kind of their time to shine, and Izuku isn't always the one getting the spotlight and all that lot because he's the main character, which I never liked in these Shonen Jumps where, like, even Black Clover is they are glorifying it to the point where I can't stand it, with Ash just being the center of attention, to being, he's like the only one who ever exists and the one who's important to everyone, and I don't like that. I've never liked that in a series or in a movie where one character is like the one, he is the one, like nothing else matters, just this one character. I hate it. I hate that trope. But My Hero Academia kind of throws that trope over the side. Yes, Izuku is, you know, being a hero and doing his thing, but that doesn't mean that he is the main character of everyone else's universe. You know, everyone else is kind of being a hero, and yeah, Izuku is inspiring people, but everyone else has been inspired by other people, you know, and that's what I like, you know. I'm not gonna. I don't want to reveal too much, but one thing I like is that when, like normally in an anime, when a hero would, like, the main character would probably go and, you know, rescue a friend or whatnot who's in danger, and obviously Izuku does that, but then there's another character who also joins him, and I like how other characters are inspiring a character who's fallen, and it's not just the main character, which I really liked, you know. And I like how it was the main character who inspired that character to change, and that character ends up helping another character, and I just, it's really good stuff, you know. It's really good stuff, and I really have enjoyed this show, really do. And season 4's out, and gonna keep watching it. And here we come to my top 3. These 3 animes I really thought about, and I thought which shows were really great and why did I like them and what made me pick them. And let's get on with it. Number 3, it's Violet Evergarden. Yep, this Netflix series I watched not too long ago, and what can I say? The animation in the show is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It has a movie like budget to it. Like, you'd think like a studio like Ghibli animated it, because it's just the way the character motion looks and the designs are just so great, and it's just it is a wonderful series. Like, it is a pretty damn good series. And what is it about? Well, in the aftermath of the Great War, Violet Evergarden, a young female ex-soldier, gets a job as a writer at an agency and goes on assignments to create letters that can connect people. And most episodes, in fact, nearly each episode, is basically Violet Evergarden being hired by someone in the world to write a letter to someone else, because some people can't write in this world, you know. And like, just writing letters, each time she's able to kind of, because she's like, you know, she's a soldier and she's just seen a lot of war, and she's just so scarred and just really, like, you know, lost. And each episode, when she sees people and their backstories and all that, and she, you know, every episode can make you cry in a way. It's so damn emotional. It's very great, you know. Just seeing Violet Evergarden trying to connect with people and trying to become a human herself and not becoming a doll is just so satisfying, you know. And it's probably it's an anime that I'll definitely watch again and again. It's just a swell show. It's a really swell show. I don't want to talk too much about it. I just recommend you giving this show a watch. It will make you cry at times. And number 2 is my runner-up, and it is Erased. Erased is basically about this kid. Well, not a kid, he's an adult, and he's 29 years old. His name is Satoru, and he can, in his kind of present day, he has the ability to see things before they happen. He can time travel very briefly for like a few seconds to like do stuff and all that. However, this time round, he is sent back 18 years in the past to prevent the events leading to a tragic thing that happened, which began with a series of kidnappings in 18 years ago in his 5th grade year. And what I really liked about this series is that it's just well paced out, you know, like it's built up as this mystery, you know. Satoru, the thing is that I like the mystery. You got this 29-year-old and he has the ability to travel back in time, and then one time it goes wrong because of a tragedy that happened, and he's sent back to his 10-year-old self. And I do like how this 29-year-old, his 10-year-old body is just, it's really original, and he's just trying to solve what happened. And it all started with these kidnappings that happened back then with this little girl, and him just discovering all that was just so great. But what I liked was just his interactions with his classmates, with his mother, with his teachers, you know, how people are noticing that he's changing, but you know, he's different, and people are starting to kind of acknowledge and respect him a little bit more. And I don't know, I just kind of liked all that stuff, you know, like the animation style is really different and great, you know. The backgrounds look gorgeous and just amazing, and it's just a gorgeous show, you know. It has a lot of very dark themes, you know, with like kind of child abuse and just mental health situations, to the point where it's like, whoa, it gets really deep, you know. But what I like is just each episode feels like a mini movie at times, you know. Not just that it was exported in widescreen, but just it just has this, each episode has this different like feel to it. Like it's the same feel, but it's just so great, you know. It's one of those shows that you've just got to watch it to really appreciate it. I really just had a ball watching it, you know. It's a really short series, very short, you know, but I flipping loved it, you know. The twist was surprising, but at the same time you can kind of see it happening. I mean, it's a little predictable, you can kind of see where it's going, but at the same time it's just, yeah, you will absolutely love this series, you know, absolutely love it. It was flipping amazing for me. I had a ball watching it. And another thing I noticed with this show is that it's probably the only anime I've watched where both the English dubbing and the Japanese are better. If anything, I feel like the dubbing is better than it's more better than like the Japanese, just because the English voice acting just, they give a slightly different performance, but I just think it's better in my opinion, you know. Plus the character development in the show is so much better, you know. Like I've seen animes where it takes like 20 episodes for me to fully accept this character or like him, but you watch one single episode in this anime and you would love or hate a certain character in an instant, and it would make so much sense in a way. And that's what I really liked about it. I just really thought it was great. It's just a series that you will really enjoy, you know. And I suppose that's why I really liked it, because it was the first anime I watched in a long time, because at the time I watched so many really disappointing animes, you know, and watching this was such a breath of fresh air. It made me finally believe that there was good anime out there, and I was so happy that I watched it and experienced it. But it's not my number one. My number one is an anime that I don't think any other series has ever really succeeded my expectations. I mean, okay, there have been shows that I've watched that I've liked, but I'm talking about like character development, plot twists, and even just the animation itself. This is the king of anime in my opinion, and that is Attack on Titan at number 1. Now, Attack on Titan I watched at an interesting time in my life. I've never watched anime before. Okay, I did. I watched Sonic X and I watched the Beyblade Metal Saga. Now, they are anime and all that lot. They have great animation, but they were for kids. Those were children anime. So I never watched any adult anime, animes made for like grown-ups. And yeah, this anime was just very, very jarring. Like, coming from like watching Beyblades to this was so jarring that it kind of gave me nightmares at times, because I just wasn't expecting the show to be so dark. But let's talk about what the show is about. And Attack on Titan basically follows the adventures of Eren Yeager, and he joins the Survey Corps to destroy all the Titans. He basically hates these Titan creatures because, yeah, no one knows where these Titans came from. They're just there. They've just basically appeared 100 years ago, and the people of the world basically built these walls to block out these Titans in a way to stop them from coming and all that lot. And one day the walls break down. This big ass Colossus Titan destroys the walls, kills so many people, including people close to Eren. And this is what causes Eren to join the Survey Corps to destroy the Titans. He has this hateful vendetta against the Titans. And with his friends Mikasa and Armin, they set out to take down the Titans. However, extremely shocking events happen that changed characters to the point where you think, what is the truth of this world? And that's all I'll say. I don't want to talk too much about this show. This show is now at a point where we are 3 seasons into the show, and a lot has been talked about. Even though in this channel I have given manga reviews of this anime, I'm not going to talk about spoilers. I'm just going to say what I like about this show. The story. The whole mystery on where these Titans came from was the one thing that drew me to this show. The whole mystery. Who are these Titans? Who the heck created them? Why is Eren getting these weird flashbacks about his father? What does this all mean, Why do these Titans look like humans? Why are they breaking the walls? Why do they want to eat humans? Why? Like, all these questions, just are in your head, And Eren discovers a lot of shocking truths and secrets as he's joined the Survey Corps. From the day he joins the Survey Corps, he learns a lot of unexpected things, like just damn unexpected moments, that you just wouldn't expect to happen, And it's just so damn good, my dude. And man, oh man, it's really difficult to talk about this show without spoiling it. So I'm just going to briefly say the animation style was gorgeous. The art style is phenomenal, and just the backgrounds look amazing. No other anime I've watched looks like this, dude. The backgrounds look amazing. The character designs blend so well in the backgrounds. Violet Evergarden might be the only series I've seen that kind of looks close to looking this amazing. Yeah, Violet Evergarden might be the only series I've seen that looks remotely like gorgeous, beautiful like this show. This show just, it still looks better than any other anime I've ever seen. Just the orchestra, the OST sounds, music, just it really elevates you. It gives you a lot of energy. The theme songs are so great, Just most of them are done by this band called Link to Horizon, and they are flipping amazing. They are just, oh my gosh, every theme song feels like a national anthem, and it wakes you up and it gets you entertained and engaged. Season 1 is just such a really great series, and season 2, season 3, I'll definitely review this series as a whole one of these days, but in terms of my top 10 anime, Attack on Titan is great. The characters are also really amazing, from Eren to Armin to Mikasa, Levi, Hanji. They're all so great, And even like Krista, who's this blonde girl who you might think is kind of a nobody, but my gosh, she becomes a somebody later on. That's all I'll say. It's a really interesting feat, to be honest with you. The show, obviously, people have talked about how the show has crazy plot twists, how it's like the Game of Thrones of anime, and the plot twists that happen aren't for the sake of being shocking. They have meaning, they have merit, and in a way, they've been foreshadowed. Like the identity of the Colossus Titan, if you look back on previous episodes, you can kind of see that this person is the Colossus Titan, and it makes sense, And even like secrets about the walls and humanity and all that lot, there are little foreshadowings and snippets in past episodes that make sense, And when we find the truth of the world, where the Titans came from, it will leave you feeling mind effed. It is very, very interesting. We find out all these interesting things about the world of Attack on Titan, where the Titans came from, and what certain characters, particularly our main characters, have, like what destiny what purpose they have, and how certain people of the past, certain people that our characters trusted, people that our characters were close to in the past, how they kind of set these pieces up for our main guys to kind of solve, and for them to like do what they need to do in a way. And yeah, the main characters are just wow. What, reading the manga and knowing where the show is going, it becomes even more amazing, to the point where it's like wow, like certain characters change drastically. You think they become villains all of a sudden because of certain ideals of people, like hearing about what people think about them and just different stuff, I just think was just really great. And it's just watch it now. That's all I'll say. Watch Attack on Titan. It is my favorite anime of all time. It's the greatest anime of all time, in my opinion. No other series have really surpassed it. I'm sorry this video was too long, to be honest with you, but that's just my take. But thank you for watching this review. Please like and share this video, comment down below and tell me what's your favorite anime of all time. With that said, thank you for watching. As always, Boy the Review signing out.